What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Wade Berry Fitness channel. I am Wade Berry, and today I'm going to be speaking on everybody's favorite macronutrient, protein. And the funny thing about protein is when it comes to the fitness and nutrition space, that's one of those topics that everybody and their mama seems to have an opinion on. And it's funny because I feel like if you go out and ask 10 different people, hey man, how much protein should I be consuming on a daily basis? You're more than likely going to get 10 different answers. And that's unfortunate, man, but that's the world we're living in now because anybody can make a TikTok, anybody can make a YouTube channel, anybody can make an Instagram page, anyone can shoot and post content. And unfortunately, you don't have to know what you're talking about. As long as you say it with some enthusiasm and some charisma, and you got a couple people listening to you, you got some followers, next thing you know, what you're saying is true to an audience of people and to a portion of the population because you said it with your chest out and with confidence, and they took it as a gospel truth and went and started talking about it to their friends and family. So it's unfortunate, but what I always try to do is I don't ever try to tell people what to do or how to live. I just want to present you with facts, and I want to present you with new information and try to give you a new perspective and a new understanding of a topic that has so many different opinions, and everybody seems to know, the magic potion when it comes to this macronutrient, right? So let's go ahead and jump into it, and we'll start to unpack it like this. Whenever you go to Google or you go to ChatGPT or you go to your doctor or you go to the dietitian that your doctor refers you to and you ask those search engines or you ask those two people, hey, how much protein should I be consuming on a daily basis? I can almost guarantee you 10 times out of 10, the response you're going to get is going to be the RDA. And if you don't know what the RDA is, it's the recommended daily allowance. And what that number is, what the RDA will tell you when you search for it on whatever search engine or you talk to whoever you talk to, it's going to tell you that you need to be consuming 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, right? If you're on the metric system, which most of the world is, if you're on the imperial system, that breaks down to 0.36 grams per pound of body weight, okay? So 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, 0.36 grams per pound of body weight, right? And if you're anything like me, which this is a gift and a curse, but if you're anything like me, when you hear stuff like that, you're like, okay, well, who said? Like, why? How did we land here? How did we get to this number? Who called this shot? What led them to even do the research to come up with this number in the first place? Why did they need this information in the first place, right? And when you start to ask these questions, and those are all legitimate questions that you should be asking, you shouldn't take anything just because someone said so. You should go do your own research and see why they said it and if it's true or not. And if you do that, when it comes to the current RDA that we're going by in the world, you'll see that that number that they came up with, the current RDA that we use is 80 years old. They came up with that back in the 40s. So, and I'm gonna tell you why here in a second. So that already is a red flag. Like, hold on, we're going by something that they came up with 80 years ago. Like, I'm not saying because time passes it's not true, but as time goes by, you should revisit things and revise them if necessary. And they just haven't done that. So one thing that threw me off was like, okay, it's back in the 1940s, that's crazy, but why did they come up with this number? And that answer is wild too. What they did was a team of scientists at the University of Illinois back in the 1940s, this is during World War II, right? During World War II, because the economy was just in a bad place and food supplies wasn't, we didn't have a surplus of resources as a whole. Money was tight, food portions were kind of tight. We were in the middle of a world war. It was just a rough time in the country. Because resources were tight, this team of scientists got together and said, okay, we got to stretch out this food. We ain't got enough. We ain't got a surplus of food. We need to figure out in these rations, the food rations that they were sending out to the soldiers that were out in the field. They said, we need to figure out the least amount of each nutrient we can send to them that will keep them going, keep them healthy enough to keep fighting. Their immune system won't be compromised. They won't start to develop deficiencies. They won't start losing muscle mass. We need to figure out the bare minimum these soldiers need in their food ration to just keep them going, basically, right? So how they found out that number, and I don't want to get too far off on a sidebar tangent, but just real quick, they did something called nitrogen balance testing, right? And what that is because protein is the only macronutrient that contains nitrogen, you can use the nitrogen levels in someone's body as a marker for how much protein they're consuming and how much protein they're excreting in their waste, right? So again, not to get on a sidebar, but just simplified terms, they conducted a series of tests and they measured how much protein the participant was consuming and how much protein the participant was excreting. And they looked at the nitrogen levels in both. And they got to the point, they got it finely tuned to where they found out this is the amount of nitrogen, which is in the protein. This is the amount of nitrogen a person needs in their system to preserve muscle mass, and it gives them just the right amount of nitrogen to where they basically just keep going, where they don't have a whole host of issues don't start to develop, right? So they do this series of tests and they're like, all right, cool. Now we know exactly the bare minimum amount these soldiers need. And based off of the findings in that study, they made the current RDA that your dietitian is telling you to follow, and your doctor is telling you to follow, and a lot of the internet is telling you to follow. So all these people, because that's just the part of the dietary guidelines in this country and around the world, a lot of people look at it like, well, these government agencies and scientists, people, everything, trust the science. Scientists said that this is how much protein we need. So that's how much protein everybody should be eating. And what they don't realize is that it was the bare minimum just to keep you alive and not have deficiencies amount of protein you should be eating. And on top of that, the participants in the studies, they were healthy young men and they were sedentary they were in a controlled setting. Like they weren't working 9-to-5 jobs. They weren't coaching t-ball practices on the weekend. They weren't doing manual labor, roadside construction like most of the country in the world is. Like they weren't active members of society. They were just chilling in a controlled setting and participating in this study. So that even further adds well, of course, they came up with this bare minimum number, which isn't accurate in the first place. It's just bare minimum. But they came to that conclusion based off of participants that were in an unrealistic setting, meaning they were sedentary and just hanging out. So the more active you are and just as you age especially, but the more active you are and as you age, you require more protein to preserve muscle mass and create an environment in your body to where it functions the way it should. So not only were these young sedentary men, but they were in a controlled sedentary environment, which even adds to how flawed the study was as a whole. So once you realize that these dietitians and these doctors, what they're telling you, not in these words, but what they're telling you in a roundabout way is, this is how much protein you need to be consuming on a daily basis to not have a deficiency and just to barely get by and not start withering away. That's what they're telling you in so many words. The current RDA is not enough protein to thrive and to give your body enough amino acids to function in a way to where you feel great and your immune system strengthens and you heal from injuries in a way that you should heal, and hormone health is the way it should be. And what I always preach, I feel like I try not to say it, but I just have to. You give your body enough amino acids to preserve the muscle mass you have and build new muscle mass, which is the ultimate goal and key to longevity. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's just the truth. I don't know any other way to say it. So once I break that down to people like, hey man, your healthcare professional is giving you information based off of an 80-year-old flawed study that was just enough, that the findings of that study was just enough to get by and stay alive, not thrive. Once they realize that, they're like, well, dang, man, okay, nobody ever knows that. I've never heard anyone say, yeah, I knew about that study. No one ever knows about it or where the RDA came from. But then the next question they ask me is, well, dang, man, if 0.8 kilograms per body weight and 0.36 grams per pound of body weight is too low, then how much should I be eating? And the answer to that is simple. 1 gram per pound of desired body weight and 2.2 grams per kilogram of desired body weight. And I'm going to tell you how I landed on that. One is because there's just enough data and studies to support that that's not going to harm you. That a lot of people try to say, well, man, I heard that that's rough on your kidneys, eating that much protein. One, that's not that much protein once you learn how to eat properly. And two, there's no data to support that, man. You won't find a study out there anywhere. It doesn't exist, and it's not going to exist, that tells you if you eat 1 gram per pound of desired body weight, not body weight, and I'm going to touch on that in a second. But there's no studies that say 1 gram per pound of desired body weight is going to cause stress to your kidneys. Your kidneys adapt and they filter just fine, man. It doesn't create any kidney issues. You're not going to find a study to support that. And let me touch on the body weight thing, desired body weight over body weight. You want to do desired body weight because if everybody ate a gram of protein per pound of their body weight, you got people out there that are 400 pounds, but they're 200 pounds overweight. So you can't ask somebody that's 400 pounds to eat 400 grams of protein. You need to eat a gram of protein per pound of desired body weight. And you got to be honest with yourself too. You got to have a real conversation with yourself and say, man, for my height and my build, how much should I weigh, man? Like, how much excess weight do I have? And if you don't know how to answer that question, ask yourself, well, last time I felt good. Last time I was light on my feet and I had energy and I was getting around and I could go up a flight of stairs with no problem and I just felt good. How much did I weigh? Ask yourself that. And whatever that answer is, that is your desired and realistic. I shouldn't even use the word desired body weight. Moving forward, forget desired. 1 gram per pound of realistic body weight. Once you come up with that number, then you got it beat. You got half your problem solved. And another thing, real quick before we move forward, if you don't know how to come up with your desired body weight, if you do all that, hey man, last time I felt good, how much did I weigh? If you still can't come up with an answer, look around at like the gym or a family member or a coworker, a friend, anybody that's like your height and your build, similar to your build, but they're at like a healthy, comfortable weight. You look at them and you're like, man, they look pretty good. Find out what they weigh. Like if you can't come up with a desired or a realistic body weight in your head, then look around and try to find somebody like, man, I'd like to look, kind of like that guy. I mean, that's realistic for me. And just see how much they weigh. Whatever that number is, eat 1 gram per pound of whatever that number is. And if you're on the metric system, you're going by the kilograms, whatever that kilogram amount is, eat 2.2 grams per kilogram of that realistic body weight. It's not going to do no kidney damage. And I picked that. Let me get back to what I was going to say. I picked that number because, one, like I said earlier, once you realize how to eat and you learn what foods, preferably animal sources, once you learn what foods are quality protein sources, hitting 150 grams of protein a day is not hard, man. I promise you. I've been doing it a long time. My realistic body weight is like right at like 215, and I eat anywhere from 215 to 225 grams of protein a day. And I got to be careful because I'll go over. But I just know how to eat. And once you learn how to eat and you know how to, what foods to look for and how to prioritize protein, it ain't hard, man. It really isn't hard. And I think a lot of people, going back to what I was talking about, a lot of people get tripped up and say it's hard to hit their mark because they've been going by the 1 gram per pound of body weight, their current body weight. You don't want to do that. That's too much, man. Again, I'll use my 400-pound person as an example. Somebody that's 400 pounds and 150, 200 pounds overweight, they ain't got no business eating 400 grams of protein. Nobody does. That don't make sense. That's way too much. And I don't know if you'll do kidney damage, but you'll just be you'll be taking up too much of your daily caloric intake on one macronutrient. You still got fats that you need to be eating. So I could go on and on, man, but just to save y'all a rant, stop listening to these people that are telling you the RDA is sufficient, because it's not, man. And I just proved it to you why it's not, because we know the origins of it and where it came from. And if you hear anybody that says, well, man, 1 gram per pound of desired body weight, man, that's just too much protein. One, no, it's not. You need to learn how to eat. And I can help you. Like, if you reach out to me after you watch this video, I can give you a cheat sheet and show you how to hit those type of protein numbers pretty easily. It's not a chore. But if you hear them say that it'll do kidney damage and all these objections that you hear to it, tell them to send you a study. Like, say, hey, man, all right, you say that's too much protein, it's going to do kidney damage. Well, send me a study that supports that claim. I promise you they're not going to be. And if they do, it's like some whack job. It's not from no credible source, man. There's since the 40s, since they came out with the RDA, people have revisited this and performed their own studies, and we have enough data to support that that's wildly inefficient, the current RDA, and tripling it. I assure you, you can triple the RDA, and it not only create kidney damage. That's just not true, and that's like propaganda. I don't know where that came from, but it gives your body enough amino acids to just thrive, man. Like, a lot of people think that, well, you just up protein. A lot of people associate protein consumption with muscle and like bros and like meatheads. And the truth is, man, protein does so much more than just build muscle and preserve muscle. It helps with hormone health. It helps with immune system. It helps with enzyme and digestion health. And when you get injured, wound healing and just any type of injury, the rate that you heal from injuries has a lot to do with your protein consumption and the levels of amino acids and protein in your system. It just does so much, man. It's not just like this gym bro meathead thing. And man, you need to get your protein in. Like, no, man, everybody needs protein. It's the most important macronutrient. And that's a whole nother video, but I'm slowly but surely realizing that there's like a community of dietitians that are trying to prioritize fiber over protein. And that's just the most insane thing I've heard in a long time, because I'm not saying you don't need fiber. I'm not a no fiber guy. But fiber comes from carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are non-essential. So how you going to say to prioritize something that comes from a non-essential macronutrient? That's insane. I'll put it to you like this. If anybody ever tells you fiber is more important than protein, tell them, say, all right, cool. For the next 30 days, don't eat any protein and see what happens. Eat only fiber and fats and see what happens. I don't want to tell you what's going to happen, but it ain't going to be good for them. You can live without carbohydrates and fiber. I'm not saying you should. Don't try to put words in my mouth. You do need fiber, but you can live without fiber and carbohydrates. Go try to live without protein or fats and see what happens. You're going to be in a bad way quick. So, and that's a sidebar too. I don't mean to get off on a tangent, but you just got people that try to like flip the script on protein and how important it is. And, you know, you got people that try to justify not prioritizing it, and that just don't make sense, man. And because that message has gotten, those waters have gotten so muddied and that message has gotten lost, you can look around at society and the average American for sure, but the average person in general, most people look like they're not prioritizing protein, and they look like they're eating the wrong amount of the wrong macronutrients because of stuff like the current RDA not being updated for 80 years. And, you know, everybody and their mama having a social media platform and putting out bad information. It's unfortunate, man. But all I can do as somebody that's trying to give good information with integrity and just trying to shift your perspective on some of these things, all I can do is give you the facts and the information, and you take it and live your life based off of what you hear from me and if it resonates or not. So with that being said, I'll wrap up, but eat your protein, man. One more time before we go. 1 gram of protein per pound of desired / realistic body weight, a weight that you know you should be at and you would feel good at. Or if you want to go by kilograms, 2.2 grams per kilogram of desired / realistic body weight. If you do that, I promise you it's a sweet spot. I've seen it work, again, for hundreds, thousands of people. And you're going to be giving your body enough of a macronutrient it needs to not stay alive, but to thrive. And that's really the goal, man. None of us are here to just get by and barely exist and claw our way through life until we see the grave. You want to fuel your body and eat in a way to where it feels good and it functions like it's supposed to. That's what it's all about for me, and it should be for you too. So with that being said, eat your protein, and if you need any help, like I was talking about earlier with the cheat sheet, or trying to get an understanding of how to hit these goals in a way that doesn't feel like a chore or a task, reach out to me and I'll show you how to do it. Peace.